I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show!
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to all across the Delaware Valley. This is the Anthony Gargano Show. We're presented by Rite Aid, your neighborhood pharmacy. Visit your local Rite Aid today. Stock up on allergy relief. Catch up on immunizations for RSV, shingles, and more. Walk in, schedule a vaccine appointment at riteaid.com. Well, it's a beautiful morning. And it's got that clear, crisp, a little chill in the air in the 60s. It was just a fabulous morning. Sun splashed, and it has you thinking about the fall. This is kind of the first morning where you go, wow, man, I feel the fall. It feels close. It feels nearby. And I just want to give a little state of 4 for 4. So since I was a kid and I was a little boy, I've been chasing 1980. 1980, long before most of you were born, was a special year. I was a little boy. All 4 teams went to the finals. All 4 teams were really, really good. Of course, the Phillies were the team that won it. And I remember distinctly, like, it was such a formative year of my life, being a little boy when it comes to sports, that every season you just look to the next one, right? It really began the cycle of 4 for 4, where each of these teams, you went from season to season to season. And it was a year of Philadelphia dominance. It was a year that we were the center of the sports universe. And I've always been chasing that, right? Like, you always look at the whole state. You know, we say sometimes that you look at rising tides lift all boats, and that all these teams were pretty much a streaky town. And when they're all like show promise, they all start to go. And I was looking at the Eagles roster. I was sitting there over the Ben Franklin Bridge. I'm looking at a W.B. Mason truck. And then it had me looking at the Phillies. And I'm thinking to myself, we're close. The Sixers are a title contender. The Flyers are a team that we finally have joy. We have somebody to watch. You can get in on a real rebuild. So there's like real hope there. They're not a contender yet, but there's hope. There's tangible kind of evidence that we can look to, prospects, real, having Mitchkoff, having some young players is something to get you excited about. And I'm looking at the Eagles roster last night, and it really dawns on you just how good a job that Howie Roseman has done. And what kind of place. Like, they're in a really good place right now when it comes to just look at the roster. And I know that, you could poke holes, which you could do in any NFL roster, but you could poke holes and go, well, they're thin at linebacker, what's going to happen at safety. But when you think about it and you kind of further examine edge, obviously is something, you go deeper into it, they're really good. And the Niners have had their roster issues with Brandon Ayuk. The Cowboys, well documented all their issues when it comes to keeping that roster together. And I look at here on the heels of Hassan Reddick asking for a trade, has not shown up to the Jets. We are now just a couple of weeks away from the start of the season, and he's still no closer. And he wants a contract. He wants to be traded. And I don't know I love Hassan. I've always loved Hassan. I know Hassan since the Temple days with Matt Rule. And he's a terrific player. But unfortunately, the market is kind of speaking, and he's not going to get that big deal he wants. It's not good for him to, sit out a whole year where all this drama is going on. But it shows you, look, how we got in front of it and said, listen, this is what we got to do. We can't kind of have this. So Howie gets in front of that, and you look at this roster, they look to be able to survive the loss of Jason Kelce, right? The way the offensive line has, with its backups, and you got mainstays at tackles with Lane and Mailata, right? You got a lot of guys coming up, so you're a real good mix of youth. So the line looks good. So Jalen's got all the weapons in the world, right? Like, yeah, you could use a third receiver, but these are all kind of nitpicky stuff when it comes to the roster. Like, you can't have a Pro Bowl roster at every position. So there's going to be some little lean points, little soft points, like we said, linebacker, safety. Edge is something that they need somebody to step up. But having a Jalen Carter who looks to blossom, and I can see him being played. I can see Fangio playing him up and down the line almost as that game wrecker. I look at the job that Howie's done, and it's just an exemplary job at putting this roster together. It's very good, and they're a true contender. Like, they're a real contender when it comes to looking at this season entering the year. Phillies, I know everybody's scared and worried about the collapse, and I get that. But I still believe in this team. I still look at that lineup. I still think the lineup will be able to hit. Once you get Ranger back, that'll be a big deal. I think the key to going deep and going to a World Series is going to be Ranger Suarez, making sure that you have that third starter, that lefty, and especially him. And we remember what he was like the last two playoff runs, where unflappable. We always talk about his blood pressure being at nil, and that will be a big test. You just hope the bullpen kind of gets into some sort of form, and this rough patch kind of dissipates. Interestingly, you got two big series to kind of help you get right with the Marlins and the Nationals coming up this week. Taijuan Walker tonight. I'm curious to see what he's going to give you. You got Walker and Phillips, right? You got to win one of those, and then you got Wheeler on win day, which is Thursday. So that's kind of setting up the Phillies. But I look at the state, and I always feel like I'm chasing 1980, and I feel like we're close to it. I don't know if one of these teams will break through, but they certainly have a chance. All three of them, when it comes to Sixers, Eagles, and Phillies, having a legitimate chance of breaking through. So I don't know. I woke up this morning and I felt autumn in the air, and it made me think of a red October and football season and even the start of basketball. All right, let's get to our friends, my cohorts. VG, violations Greg.
What's happening, man? How are you?
JP, John Zapata.
Buenos dias, cuz.
Buenos dias, John. JP. All right. I woke up, and I don't know if it's the beautiful morning that has me feeling very sunshiny.
Beautiful out there today.
It really is. But it's got this, the autumn chill, maybe kind of look at the big picture. I'll ask JP, you don't know about 1980, all right? Well before your time, but VG does. We were little boys then. And it shaped kind of, I think, our view. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I've been chasing it ever since.
It was the highest of the high sports, and I was a young kid, like 10 years old back then. But yeah, it was stupid. It was every season we were in it.
And I think back to that. We were like Sports Illustrated and all the national media. It was always about Philadelphia. And I feel like we're close to it. I think we're close. Yeah, you're skeptical. I think we're as close as we've been in a long time.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think the Sixers got a legit shot. I was just looking at Bet Parks. Eagles have fourth best odds to win the Super Bowl. I mean, it's pretty legit. Phillies are the third best odds to win the World Series. Sixers probably are in the top 5. So, yeah, you're probably right. I don't know why it doesn't feel like it right now for me. It's probably because of this Phil's slump.
It's got you down.
I mean, the weather's helping. Taijuan coming back's helping. He's been below mediocre, but his ERA at least has been under 6.
Hey, I don't know. I mean, maybe Taijuan after kind of this break,
right?
Maybe you get lucky a little bit.
Never know.
This team kind of knew. This team feels like it deserves a little bit of a break. Yeah. You can say whatever you want about that start, but they did it through a lot of injuries. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys in and out of line. Yep. It wasn't like, they just feasted on bad competition, which we know is not true, and they were healthy. They weren't healthy. they had guys. Turner was out of the lineup for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Guys are stepping up.
JT has been out for a lion's share of the summer.
Yeah.
Like they've had a lot of injuries happen to them. So they can use a little bit of a break. And if Walker comes in and can give you something to build on, and again, he's not a guy you're going to look to in the playoffs, but just to kind of get out of this funk a little bit and start playing some better baseball.
Hey, you got Walker against the Marlins. Perfect setup for his return. If he comes out tonight and gives you 6 innings, 3 runs, perfect.
Those
Perfect.
fish are always pesky, though, I'll say.
No, they are. Listen, they are. And am I whistling through the graveyard maybe a little bit? Maybe. I mean,
Whistling through the graveyard.
I mean, look, let's face it. Coming up after these 2 series, it's pretty nasty because you have Atlanta, right? You go to Atlanta for 3. You go to Kansas City for 3. Very good, right? Then you come home and you got the Astros, always dangerous. And then you got the Braves for 4. So those next 4 series are nasty. It includes 7 games with Atlanta.
I think part of what's made this so disheartening with the Phils, it's the teams they've played because they've had a stretch of some good competition and they just have looked bad. And is it a bad slump or are they just up against some tough competitions with the Twins, the Guardians, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mariners, it's been Diamondbacks, it's been team after team that's legit. And I think it makes you question the first half a little bit. I mean, they still have a positive record against teams over 500. But when you look back, it's like, man, they did not really stack up well against the meat of the league.
It coincided with their slump. Like their slump coincided with the schedule getting a little nasty. The interesting thing is they take 2 or 3 from the Dodgers.
I know.
Right?
They won that series.
Right?
And it's just like that's part of baseball. You have these different laws throughout the season, and you talked about it. We just went through a tough stretch. We're gonna get this week's should be cake. It should be cake here for the Phils, and then we're gonna get another shot at some tough competition here. So we're gonna find out a lot about the Phils before September.
So I want to do a thing called the 1980 watch.
Okay.
All right. And if the graph's at the top, right, is 1980, where all 4 teams are at championship level, and that would be a 10. Where are all 4 teams? And we'll do it weekly. All right.
Okay.
So if I give you 10 being 1980, right, with all 4 teams, Eagles, you got to be what, at a 9?
I'd probably be at an 8 with the Birds.
Same. I'll be at 8.
8.
Yeah, I just think they got too many questions on defense right now.
But you got, I think, at least in the secondary, the corners. You got a lot of things that you can do. Like we talk about safety, and I feel the same thing about safety. It concerns me a little bit. But Cooper DeJean, I think is when he gets back, and again, it's not going to happen early in the season. A lot of defenses, and I'll point to one of the Super Bowl runs that the Giants went on. Their first 3 weeks, they gave up, it was like almost 90 points. And I remember talking to Spags. He was the DC at the time, and he was like, oh, my God. He had a lot of young team, a young secondary, and they all came together, toward November, December, and that spurred their run. I could see this defense playing a lot better as the season goes on.
I think so. You have a new coordinator, new system, so I think that is necessary. That'll eventually happen.
And you have a lot of youth.
You do. I mean, it's tough. We've never even.
I'd rather have the youth. I'd rather have the youth and the upside going into the season, and I do think there's upside.
Well, that's important. I mean, we were a little old over the past couple of years. Even during that Super Bowl run, we had some age, so it is good to see some young players. You can finally develop, especially that D line. I love some of those young players that we have on that D line, and a lot of them do have to prove something this year. But I love that hunger. You want to see that from the team.
And I mean, on the outside of the ball, they're ridiculous.
They're ridiculous on the outside.
I mean, you can't just kind of just willy nilly walk through that. Leave the.
And I mean, there are question marks there with no Kelsey, and you got Becton learning a new position. I mean, I think they'll be fine there.
But they have stability on that line. I love Kelsey, and he's a huge loss. But if you're ever prepared for the loss of a legend, right? And Kelsey is a legend, a Mr. Eagle, a retired number, the whole thing. The way they've built this line with young players stepping in and having a foundation when you got 2 tackles like that,
Yeah.
that's a foundation.
Oh, yeah. And remember, listen, Cam Jurgens got a good head on shoulder, and Kelsey can pick Jurgens to replace him, too.
I know, but what's he? Some accomplished GM, who knows?
But you get my point, though, right? I mean, when it comes to, I mean,
that's more or less Stoutland is what you trust for the offensive line.
and again, having a foundation, no? I mean,
for sure.
I mean, when you have those tackles, man, you're tough to get with me today, man. I'm trying to bring you over.
I got Bill Barnwell in my head. I read this thing this morning. He's ranking playoff teams and their chances. He says, we know that teams win 11 games and yet we know that teams that win 11 games with basically even point differential always decline. That's with the Eagles. They scored like 4 more points than they gave up last year. Coordinators didn't put up good season. Fletcher's retired. Kelsey's retired. Offensive line, D-lines are relying on young, unproven talent. And White was benched in Tampa last season. Barkley struggled to stay healthy for the Giants. Gardner Johnson's already banged up. I still lean towards the Eagles being a playoff team, given the talent throughout their roster and potential for their young players to improve. There's more combustibility here and both a higher ceiling and lower floor than it might seem the past few seasons. They can make it back to the Super Bowl, but are also entirely capable of missing the postseason altogether.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be stunned if they missed the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be a huge disappointment. I can't see this team missing the playoffs.
I mean, I just can't get
But
past.
listen, I think the Lions have the best right now.
Overall,
they're the best team in the NFC. I like Green Bay.
Yeah.
I like the Rams. I think the Rams are good. Niners are the Niners.
Solid, yeah.
I mean, Eagles are right there. And that's if you have the Lions here. The Eagles are in that second tier with everybody else.
Yeah, but how do they even lose this
easy.
division, though? Like, this division is not
Well,
good.
they got Dallas. This guy, Barnwell, again's got Dallas ahead of the
so
Eagles.
much drama down there.
There's a lot of people that feel that way. I
guess-
struggle. I try to look at it. I always look at it objectively.
Right.
And I look at that Dallas and I go, listen, I think their defense is good. I think they've improved their line play on both sides. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know their skill. And by the way, you still have the whole Prescott thing getting over that hump, which has never happened.
This man's not clutch
maybe
whatsoever.
I'm just a defense. I think defense wins playoff games. And
Certainly.
the linebackers seem like they stink, and they're jockeying so many people around at the safety position. It's worrisome.
All right. Well, we'll get into all that stuff today. The 1980 grade. We have to go through all the teams. All right. We're going to do that once a week.
Love it.
All right. Let's talk about Primo Hoagies. It's getting into sports time. Oh, we just feel it in the air. Pretty soon it's going to be a red October. Pretty soon kickoff for real is going to happen. And what do? You need sports food, football food, red October food. It's Primo Hoagies. That's right. The greatest Thuman meats and cheeses piled high on that seeded roll baked in store every couple hours. Wow, they are just amazing. Like, you have it for everybody in your house. I know I have my family of 4. We all have our favorites, and it's a weekly staple in my house. It's Primo Hoagies. In fact, become a Primo Rewards member, and you'll get $2 off Primo-size Hoagies every Wednesday. It's the same taste as the original, right on Rittner Street. I remember that like I remember 1980 when that store opened, and we went wild over those hoagies. So check it out. PrimoHoagies.com. You'll say what I always say. It's not just a hoagie. It's a Primo. Let's go Rite Aid.
Oh, Rite Aid?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, here you go. These are fall allergies.
Oh,
you were
man.
checking ragweed.
Yeah, I check ragweed. I'm a ragweed guy. It's my Achilles.
That's what you're, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do have pollen and grass, but ragweed destroys me. So fall allergies can begin as early as
Makes you
August.
mook.
Huh?
Makes you mook.
Yeah, that's what it is. And the allergies are starting. Fall allergies are starting as early as August because I'm feeling it and I'm on my Allegra. They last into November. The main culprits are ragweed and mold. Other allergens include plants such as that sage bush, tumbleweed, and pigweed. That damn pigweed. Dust mites, pet dander, and fur. Allergic reactions occur when your body misidentifies a substance such as pollen as harmful to the body, and then your immune system releases histamines to fight off those allergens. Interestingly enough, these same histamines are also the cause of your allergy symptoms, such as runny nose, itchy, watery eyes, or wheezing. That's why antihistamines medications, the medications to suppress the amount of histamine in your body are so important. They're your first line of defense in treating your allergy symptoms. You got the histamines going crazy, brother. So what can you get? What can you do for relief? You know, same things. It's important. Signing up with Rite Aid rewards emails at riteaid.com and receive those pollen and ragweed alerts. Use a dehumidifier to get rid of those dust mites, and mold thrives in humid environments. So dehumidifier helps. I think they sell them at Rite Aid. And this is important, especially for our listeners or people in the chat room. Shower frequently. You know, we have a reputation of not showering enough. That washes the pollen and mold and all that stuff off your body.
Wait, we don't shower enough?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Who doesn't shower enough?
I'm just saying, you know, this room stinks a little bit in the mornings after a while. The door shuts.
Well, I don't know.
Shower people.
I don't know who's there at night.
So Rite Aid's got a bunch of over-the-counter options for you. Try a nasal rinse to flush out those
That's just his
passages.
nickname. He's not a ski.
He's a clown.
I said, you're not a ski.
No, he's
He's
not a ski. He's a clown. We learned he's a clown. Anyway, go to Rite Aid, grab some nasal rinse and flush out your nasal passages. Grab those antihistamines such as Claritin, Zyrtec, and get those nasal corticosteroids like Flonase and Nasacort, or you can always get the Rite Aid brand, just as good, a little cheaper. Still not enough relief? Ask a Rite Aid pharmacist if a different type of allergy medication like a decongestant might be necessary, and you can always ask your Rite Aid pharmacist for recommendations on ways to get relief during allergy season.
Thank you, VG. All right, we got lots to do today. Coming up at 9:40 live from Foxborough, we will talk to Zach Berman from the All PHLY Eagles show to give us a little snippet about what's going on in the joint practice today. Today's the only joint practice, right? It's Eagles and Patriots, and then they have the game on Thursday. So this is the only joint practice today. A little bit later on, Brad Hamilton from, and I love this, Council Rock, Newtown, the Little League World Series. And Council Rock has made it, you know, I love my youth sports, right? I live it every day. I was at practice last night. I love it. I love it. So I want to congratulate one of our own making it into the Little League World Series. Les Bowen will join us coming up at 10:20 to talk birds. All right. Now, as this portion of the program brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook Casino app, it's the Daily Grind. No, it's not the Daily Grind with the brain?
He's not here yet, no.
Oh, okay.
He's showering. He's getting the ragweed off of him.
I turn to Skeeves, and he's going like this. I'm like, I thought Brad was at 9:20.
He heard our message. He's grabbing a quick shower. He's like, damn.
I got a shower.
I thought he was at 9:20 as well.
They're all late.
Well,
He's getting his picks
let
together.
me ask you a question, Anthony. Mookie Betts is back. Walker Buehler's coming back. And
I know, dude. Listen. I want to live in this little 4-for-4 fantasy land for a while.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows, we have seen just horrible times, right? Like, if you go back in I don't know, the last between 7 to 10 years, when it's the end of Chip Kelly and it's just ugly, the Phillies are done. It's it's the post Charlie run. It's Sandberg, and it's just ugly. It's the process with the Sixers and no man's land with the Flyers. So, I mean, forgive me if I'm looking at it through rays of sunshine.
Yeah, I feel you.
My 20s were not fun, guys, with Philly sports. Jeez Louise.
No, I mean, there was that window between 2010, like, you know, after the Phillies run. Like, the Flyers were good in 2010.
Right.
The Phillies were obviously good. And then you had that run that was just a dead period.
That's what we asked for.
2015.
Don't you remember the talk? If we get one Super Bowl, would you take 10 years of bad sports? We were all in
I
on
know.
it.
We put it in the
We got it. Put it in the ether. And
we did. We put it in the universe. And I was always against it.
Yeah.
Always against it. Listen, thank God we won that. They won that
Right.
Super Bowl, right? Or we would be out of our minds. But I like every year being in contention.
Yeah.
I like real contention, that you actually have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
It's why I never like selling my soul, because it takes the joy out of the seasons.
Yeah, the buzz in the city when the teams are good, it's phenomenal.
Oh, my God, I know.
Everywhere you go, everyone's talking about it.
All right, let's go. It's time for the Brain Daily Grind.
Brain. Red, the Brain Finder.
Good morning, Brain. Where are you at?
Good morning to you.
Are you on the? Are
Is he
you
in a
on the?
limousine?
Wow. Look at that hair.
His hair's all done.
Wow.
Come on, baby. His hair's all done. He's got
What are you on
no
the golf
tan.
course?
I'm playing with Versace today. Playing with my son and
you
my
got Versace.
He's in a helicopter.
yeah.
Look at him.
I'm gonna-
Inside the golf court.
Yeah, it's all done up for the country clubs, right? All done up for the country clubs. Looks like a slobber does with the hat thrown on last minute. Look at him.
Where you playing at?
Yeah, well, every now and then, man. What can I say?
Where you playing at?
Green Valley Country Club in I don't even know what city. It's in suburbs of Philly. It's my dad is a member there, so we'll play there.
Yeah,
And,
Versace said he plays every day for free there.
This is my 4th time playing golf, so keep that in mind.
All right. Well, you look the part, buddy.
I look the part.
You know,
Yeah,
he's got the shirt. He's ready to go.
Is Versace in the back? Like, are you like his Uber driver? Is he in the back?
No. I'm meeting him there, man. I'm meeting him there. No, I'm meeting him there, driving down, and then I'm actually taking my kids go to college this week or whatever. So I'm gonna take them out to dinner. Budokan. You guys know Budokan
nice.
in Philly. So yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So like we'll
good for you,
go
Brad.
for a nice dinner there.
Yeah.
I like it. That's nice. All right,
I like it there.
Let's look at the card. Last night, you went with Sale and Snell, and it paid off.
Yeah. Look, that was when you get games like that, thought it would be a low scoring game, and it's interesting. There's another game tonight, Anthony, which fits that bill. Don't like it quite as much, but you can get under 3.5 runs in Kirby Scooble. Similarly, you have 2 inept offenses and 2 really good pitchers. I just don't trust Kirby at the same level I trust Sale. And right now, the way Snell's pitch is just.
Dude, by the way, Hayes looks outrageous. What do you have? 11 strikeouts? I think they both had 11 strikeouts.
It's interesting. But when I looked at, I wonder how available Snell was, because he's going to opt out of his contract again. That was another guy again. I don't know what the cost would have been. But they say what you want to say about Blake Snell. He doesn't usually go deep into games, although he did throw 120 pitches yesterday. He never gives up runs. And by the way, that World Series, they lost to the Dodgers. If you remember, it was Game 6. They're like 3-1 or 3-0, and they just take him out because he threw like
that was the
7th inning. God forbid.
Tampa analytics, and we all went wild. The thing with Snell, what I've always loved about him is that if there's a runner on third less than 2 outs, he'll go for the strikeout, right? And he'll go and more often than not, he'll get it and he'll save the run. Like that in the playoffs, I love a pitcher that can get you a strikeout when they need one, because that saves runs throughout games.
Anthony, that's such a great point by you. When I go back and you look at it, one of the best points I've ever heard anyone make. That's so true. And when you go back to the way back when, right, the Atlanta Braves, remember they won the 14 straight divisions and they never had success? Well, who was the one pitcher who had success? Smoltz. Glavine and Maddox weren't really strikeout pitchers. And what you said
pitched
to
the
me,
contact,
when runs are going to be at a premium, there's a guy like on third base, like you said, you need a strikeout. And if you can't get it, that's a huge thing. And it's funny, yesterday in the top of the first inning, they made an error. Braves made an error, and there was first and third, nobody out. Sale goes strikeout. When you have a pitcher that can do that, and obviously Snell is even better pitcher, strikeout pitcher than Sale probably, or comparable. When you have a pitcher that can get those strikeouts with a guy on third, man, in the postseason, you can't underestimate the importance of that. You can't.
I'm so with you. So what do you like tonight? What do you got going on?
Well, look, I will say this. I do lean under 3.5 in the Kirby Scooble game for the reasons we just talked. Look, here's the game, Anthony, and again, I just think the total's too high. I do. Hunter Green, who's right there as a top 4 choice for National League Cy Young Award winner, is going against Eric Fetty. Eric Fetty's pitched very well this year. Hunter Green, we know, the fact we're talking about Cy Young, has been elite. Right now in Parks, it's 9 under -105. I thought, look, I'm usually within either get it exact or I'm off a half run at most. I thought that total would be 8, and I thought if anything it would be 8 tilted to the under. I don't understand why this total is 9. 9 is a real number. I mean, that one team's going to need to score 6 runs to beat us here. Cincinnati doesn't score runs, and I don't think they're scoring 6 runs off Hunter Green. I just like under 9. I think that's priced significantly higher than I personally would have made it. And of course, we have your favorite pitcher, Anthony, Taijuan Walker, going for the Phillies tonight. We'll see what he does.
I'm hoping that a little, that break, that respite. I'm hoping he comes back with some life in his arm.
Well, it's interesting, Andy. What they really need to do right now, again, like, look, they have what I think 6 coming up with the Marlins and Nationals. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I mean,
Marlins
to me,
and Nationals.
I'm going to be honest. For me as a Philly fan, I need to see 5 in here. I mean, they lost to the Marlins.
Yeah.
The Marlins have beaten this team more than they should have. I need to see 5-1. I need to see this mediocre play. It's like, all right, yeah, okay, we play tough teams like Arizona, Seattle. All right, fine. Dodgers, I get it, but they're now playing 2 teams where they should be able to handle these teams. I don't want to hear the excuses anymore. Not that they're making excuses, but I don't want to. I think they have to start winning some games, in my opinion, just to right that ship and get everyone feeling just good about themselves and whatnot. And this is a good opportunity to do it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Anything football you got your eyeing up for later in the week?
I did bet something yesterday. Who did I took Seattle. Now again, I was able to get 3.5. It's down to 1.5, but I think they will beat the Tennessee Titans. I actually just prefer their quarterback rotation. So Seattle, you can still get a price, and I don't mind them with the money line. I think you can get plus $1.15 still. I'm not sure what it is on the Park site right now, but I think you can get plus 115, plus 120 in that area. It was 3.5. And the other one I bet, but again, the numbers moved. I bet Denver -5, but that's up to 7 now, and I wouldn't do it unless you can get less than 7.
All right. That's good stuff.
Hey, can I ask Brad?
Yeah,
Brad, what do you think about a run line alert tonight? Yankees, White Sox.
What's a -180 though? Something like that. It's listen, VG. That's for a run line game. That's about the most expensive you're going to find. Look, they torched them yesterday, 12-3 or whatever it was.
Right.
I really don't trust Nestor Cortez. I mean, yeah, it should win, but again, you think of it like this: they have to go 90 and 50 for you to break even on them winning the game by 2 runs.
Right.
I mean, if they win a game by 2+, if they go 90 and 50 winning a game by 2+ runs, that's not easy to do, and that's just breaking you even. So again, I'm not going there, but I see, again, obviously, look, if I were to somehow, maybe I would lay 2 runs and lay lesser juice, and then hopefully they just win the game by 3. But to me, for a team to have to win the game 2 out of 3 times by multiple runs, it's a big ask, as bad as the White Sox are.
Yeah.
Right. And I noticed today, I thought the Phillies on Bet Parks are the 2nd best odds to win the World Series. I thought the Yankees were ahead of them.
I didn't know. Again, I'm not sure. They're probably pretty close, but again, look, the Phillies do get their respect. But again, right now, again, I know we talked about it yesterday, guys. But the Dodgers, now Mookie Betts comes back, first game, boom, hits that
Hit a home run.
I just look at that
saw
Dodgers
it.
lineup.
Betts hit a home run last night.
Stolen base, RBI.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I look at that Dodger lineup, guys, and I'm like, holy smokes! Like, this is a team that's just gonna, like, I mean, it's gonna be a tough team to beat. I mean, I really, come playoff time. I mean, you could. I mean, is this hyperbole to say that you could argue they have the 3 best in the National League?
The 3 best what? Ohtani, Betts,
Freeman, and Betts.
Well,
3
I
best
could
hitters?
take Harper over
Just
Freeman.
pure hitters. What's that?
I'd take Harper over Freeman.
Okay, I'm just saying, but and I'm not arguing you. I'm just saying these are certainly right in that.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, Teoscar is a threat. Will Smith is a threat. I mean, they're 5 deep now. After they're 5, it gets a little thin.
Well, Muncie's going to be back.
Yeah,
But
Muncie will be back.
Muncie will be back in Muncie's a guy, Anthony. Listen, he's one of those guys, a poor man's, but a poor man's Kyle Schwarber, where he hits his 38 home runs
against right-handed pitching. He'll tear up right hand. He masters right-handed pitching. Lefties, he's susceptible to lefties. That's
correct.
Correct.
So you just platoon him against lefties. That's what I would do at least.
Yeah,
but the point
that's
being,
what they'll do. Yeah.
Yeah, is it that is a team that can? They're going to score runs. They're going to runs. It's going to be now. Their bullpen is maybe a little shaky. We'll see, but man, I don't know. I just really.
I know, dude. I'm trying.
Man, it sounds like he's fading the pills here.
I know. I'm trying. Listen, I was driving behind a WB Mason truck this morning, right?
Oh.
And
I
all
think
I
the Phillies
keep
might
thinking
see that.
about is Phillies, because I don't know, WB Mason, there's such a big sponsor of Phillies, right? I'm thinking Red October. I'm thinking it's a sign, man. All right? I'm not giving up on this squad.
No, I'm not giving up either. But you know what? Listen, hopefully someone can beat the Dodgers in the best
I
of
know.
5.
I mean, look,
because
they're great.
that's gonna be
I got
a
nothing
tough
to
out.
say. They're great, and I mean, and oh, by the way, you got Glasnow as your number 1, so they're nasty.
And they're nasty. Well, we will see, my friend.
All right, buddy, hit him straight.
I'll let you know if I break triple digits.
All right, give Versace our love, our former intern.
Be good. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you, buddy. Here's the daily grind with the brain. Brought to us by the Bet Parks Sportsbook and Casino app. Yeah,
I think he tips the cart girls well on the course.
Yeah, he's you know who he is. He is Ace Rothstein from the movie Casino in real life, the De Niro character.
I think you're gonna tell me he was Rodney character from Caddyshack.
Well, maybe that too. Maybe a blend of the two. But he at some point in 20 years from now, he'll have the giant glasses, right, looking at the lines. I like Ohio State minus 27.
Did I see? Is he getting married soon? I thought I saw something on Instagram yesterday.
He's the brain, man. He's a character.
Frazier, do you know that golf course, by the way? No?
Someone said it's Plymouth Whitemarsh, but I don't know.
All right.
Golf's in PA.
Let me ask you a question though. Let's go back to it. I saw the WB Mason truck, and I'm thinking it's a sign. And I'm feeling like the chill of Red October, and I'm going, come on, man. This team's too good. Maybe I'm trying to will them, but I still think they're good. Like, they're a good team.
Yeah.
Listen, I can look at it clearly objectively. Dodgers are nasty. I make no bones about it. I get it. But they're good, man. The Phillies are a good team.
But also keep in mind, the last 2 years.
a good team.
No.
But the fact that they went on runs the last 2 years doesn't give you any vote of confidence. VJ.
The what?
The last 2 years,
Yeah.
we went on runs. That doesn't give you any confidence with this team going
I
down the
mean,
line?
I'm just
it's there.
beaten up right now. It's
I
been a
feel it.
You
rough.
are beaten up, man.
I was so high trying to push through it, and they just kicking me in the groin day after day.
Yeah,
It feels
but
like.
can
Oh, my
you
God.
give? Here's the truth about it. The baseball argument that over the course of a long season, you will have those valleys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a truism of 162. Now, obviously, things like the starting pitching have to hold up, and it hasn't held up. And that was one of the biggest issues. Their pitching was so good that at some point it had to dip and had to come back to kind of reality.
A dip, but a crash. I mean, a dip
Is it a crash?
I mean,
really,
over 6.
You could take a snapshot of any piece of the season and
You're talking about
look at
2 months.
Not 2 months.
Since July 1st.
The pitching's been
It's
bad since July
August
1st.
13th.
All right.
It's not 2 months.
6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm just trying to give you this.
I know.
The baseball and now,
I'm feeding off their energy. Like, they're not giving me anything right now, I guess. I need something. Bracing that hair, I can't take that.
Oh, my God. That was hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what Jamie put in the chat? He was saying that it looked like when Bynum had the half braid.
No, here. I mean, come on, Bryce. Come on, dude. Dude, come on. I need more out of my Bryce than that.
dude,
I let it down. I wanted his face. I want him to look a mess and angry and PO'd, man. I don't want him. It's like a man bun, like, oh, we're going to flush it down. We got to flush this down and go home. Nah, I want him angry and I want him to look like an animal with the hair down in his face. Come on.
Tony the ref right now is cracking up.
Oh, yeah?
All right.
Sure is.
Tony the ref is cracking up right now. I still believe in I still believe in this team. I do. I'm going to cling to it, man. I'm fighting. I want to fight with it.
I wish we could play music. There's a band song from the Lost Boys, because I still believe. There's that horrible sax solo. I still believe.
Listen, they needed a day off yesterday. They'll be all right.
I missed them last night.
I did too.
I missed them last
Not me, man.
Yeah, you're such
Went on a long walk with the dogs.
Probably went to movie theater.
Went down to John's Water Ice, got some desserts afterwards.
Listen, I like John's Water Ice too.
Nice day walking around the neighborhood with the
What
dogs.
flavor did you get, VJ?
I mean,
I actually went ice cream last night, little cookies and cream.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm in on that.
If I go to water ice, I gotta get water ice.
I'm a gelati guy. I like
you-
both worlds.
Yeah.
But that's if fake
Here
me
we
out.
go.
Fine. What do you mean? Fake me out?
I mean, there's no such thing as
A gelati?
gelati. That was invented
know.
as a soft serve and the
It's-
water ice together.
It's tasty, cuz.
No, I'm not saying it's not good, but like one day, who was it? Skeeves? You said it. What'd you say?
The mango gelati.
Right. You're like, I love the gelato. I'm like, that's not gelato.
Gelati.
Here goes the mango.
I think Rita's created
Yeah,
that
what's
now.
your flavors?
Popstick.
Mango water ice, of course.
Wow, mango.
I like the twist, the vanilla. I like vanilla and chocolate.
All
So I
right.
like
With the mango?
with the mango.
The
It's a little
chocolate?
crazy.
The chocolate and vanilla with the mango?
That's too
somehow-
much. It's like,
flavor.
there's the purity of the flavors, man.
all
Like
good
the
together.
pure, like you just throw it all in the cup.
Would I want a chocolate covered mango? I don't think so. Chocolate
I know,
mango
but it's
goes
like
okay.
it's interesting because like it's good in that form. But you're right. Like I'm not eating a chocolate covered mango, but in that form, it's great.
So I
I was gonna get my
I'm a
stones broken for
purist.
cookies and cream.
Like I'm a purist of the lemon. That's
There he
it.
is, lemon. That's it. No lemon, no water.
Lemon.
Not even do like cherry. Cherry's
No,
a classic one
lemon.
too.
But that's just me. I just like the lemon. Like I'm a lemon. I go
You mix
lemon.
it up, a little orange and lemon mixed in together.
No, I don't like maybe gin, but other than that,
All right.
well, I like the lemon.
They got nerds right now.
A Nerd's water ice
Nerds water ice. Great.
Yeah,
Great nerd.
because it's definitely out.
I'm definitely out on that. I'm when it comes to that.
Maniacs.
Ed Wright said, "Give me a lemon water ice from Italianos." He said, "R.I.P." Do you guys recognize? know that
Yes,
spot?
Italianos was an original around the corner from Pops
Oh, okay.
on 12th and Shunk was the Italianos.
By the way,
Like
the
11
pen
shot.
you brought back from Colombia getting some love. On,
It looks good from
Dude.
Cuz.
I love it. Cartagena.
Yeah, you guys got to go. You guys
Thank you,
love
JP.
it.
I would love to go there.
Oh, yeah.
That's a bucket list place for me. For
sure.
Love to do that.
Can't
All
go,
right.
can't go with your boys though. It feels like a trouble spot. I get in trouble down there.
All four of us going? Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be thrown to Colombian jail for sure.
All right. Let's now go up to Foxborough. It's our training camp update. Look at him. He's ready to go. There's practice behind him. He just zotzed out. But, of course, Zach Berman is ready to go. We're trying to find out what's happening. It's the joint practice today in New England.
He up in New England?
Yes.
Oh, he's in
nice.
Foxborough.
Look at it. There we go. We go live. You're
Yeah,
looking
it's
live. Let's go to Foxborough. Zach Berman, Z Berm. What do you say, Z Berm? Give us the scene.
Sorry to keep you guys waiting. Was in one of those elevators where it's stopping at every floor, but thrilled to be here now. This is the game field behind me. Over on the other side is the practice field. The Eagles are here. Nick Sirianni speaks in about 20 minutes. Gerard Mayo speaks in about 15 minutes, and they practice at 10:30. They're going to go 2 hours. It's not a stretch to say this is the biggest day of the summer for the Eagles.
Wow.
He's
2 hours.
He's excited. He's
I
amped
know
up.
you
He's
are.
amped up.
No, Z Berm, he loves it, man. Practice. That's why I love this dude. All right? Because
He's the
I
best.
totally feel his vibe.
Yeah, he's
man.
totally into it.
All right, he's into it. All right, Z Berm, what are we expecting today? Like, what are you, when you're looking at, let's tackle both sides of the ball. Let's start defense first.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of works both sides with the ones, right? But with the defense, I don't love this Patriots offense, to be honest with you, but you're seeing different looks. So what I want to see from this Eagles defense today is they should really, I don't want to say dominate the Patriots offense, but they should be clearly superior. If they're not, that would be concerning, right? The Patriots don't have the type of skill players that are really going to challenge you. They're still trying to figure things out on the offensive line. And you'll probably see ones versus twos. And so they don't have as much depth either. So the reality is the Eagles defense should overpower that Patriots offense. And if they don't, I think that would be problematic. But that's what I'm expecting to see from the defense.
All right, just to go inside the defense for a moment, because we didn't talk to you since Friday. Trot Jr. looked really good. Right now, he's really been the talk of at linebacker of camp. It's been the Trot Jr. baby axe man.
You're absolutely right. And, for those who watched him at Clemson, like I know you did, this shouldn't be surprising because what he's doing in practice in that preseason game because he's playing football, right? It's not what you see at the combine. It's not size. It's not speed. It's football instincts. And at linebacker, that's so important. I've used this reference to you before. In 2020, I believe it was, the Eagles brought in Davion Taylor. They brought in T.J. Edwards. And T.J. Edwards didn't have this speed that Davion Taylor had, but he just had the football instincts. And if you run 4.4, but your instincts are a second slower, then give me the slower guy. And that's what you're seeing from Schroeder out here. Is he knows how to play. He's in the right spot. He plays physically. He plays with aggression. I'm not saying he's going to start week 1, but I think that he could push for that second spot next to Devin White relatively quickly.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson, what's the story injury-wise there?
What I'm hearing behind the scenes is it's not long-term. Now, it is shoulder, and it's something I want to ask Nick about today because he missed time last year with pectoral injury. I know pectoral and shoulder aren't the same thing, but same area. So you just want to – I want to see if they are related, if they're not related here. But he's at every practice. He's taking live reps. He's not working on the side with the trainer. I should say he's taking mental reps. He's not on the side with the trainer. So when you see that, I don't think this is something that's going to be long-term, but I can't tell you he's going to be back this week or next week.
Well, how much should we be concerned about safety?
It's a valid question. James Bradbury and Avonte Maddox are both playing there. I actually think Bradbury's looked better than I anticipated at safety. Going into camp, I did not think he would be on the 53. If I do a 53 now, I would probably put him on because he knows what he's doing out there, which is a credit to him for making that switch. But they don't have good safety depth. Now, Sidney Brown could be back. We'll see if it's week 1. If he starts the season on PUP, you're looking at week 4 thereabouts, right? Week 5. Cooper DeJean, I don't think that they plan on having him as a safety this year, but they are loaded in terms of corner depth. Now they could use some slot depth, but maybe you look at Cooper DeJean there. But you're right, they need C.J. Gardner-Johnson back on the field. A lot of this defense is built around him in the back end.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Cooper DeJean, and when do we see him full throttle?
Yeah, he is increasing his workload in practice. I see him on the side field, and that work has picked up. When the injury occurred, you heard 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So we're at that point now. So when I would imagine next week would kind of be the target that I would give. They have a heavy practice week next week, heavier than I anticipated. I thought they would have more days off for walkthroughs in there. They're going like 4 or 5 practices next week. So I think that's kind of a sweet spot for DeJean, but I don't anticipate him being out there today. And this is really their last practice before the Patriots game.
All right, offensive side of the ball, what are we looking at from the offense today? Because Patriots do have a good defense.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. So I think they're going to be challenged, and B, this is the most work that the offense is going to get all summer, right? I don't anticipate Jalen and Devontae and AJ and Lane and Jordan Mailata playing in the preseason. So this really is the time when you're going to see these guys see unscouted looks or different types of looks, see unfamiliar faces on the other side of the ball. And the Patriots defense, like you mentioned, they do have some players there. So I think we'll get a better sense of where this offense is, how it is under Kellen Moore, what are some of the differences, what are some of the nuances with it. Jalen's had a really strong camp, like we've talked about. Hasn't thrown an interception yet. It's been really efficient. I think Devontae's had his best camp since he's been here. AJ, every day, he shows up. So I want to see their best players play like that. And I want to see if they can keep Jalen clean, practice speaking, right? Like, he's wearing the red jersey. No one's going to hit him. But is that a clean pocket? Does he have to move a lot? That's what I'm really curious to see from the offense.
Goddard, it's interesting because we talked about last year wasn't a great year for him. I thought 2 years ago he was a bit underutilized. Last year just didn't pop. How does he look in training camp?
He looks good. I spoke to him, 2-3 days ago now, about red zone production and really inside the 10, right? The low red zone there. And he was saying that he's had fluky things where, touchdowns have been taken off He's had touchdowns called back in the past. He had that practice in the link when he caught 3 touchdowns, and I think this is something in Kellen Moore's offense they really need to take advantage of Dallas Goedert down there. I think that he's healthy right now. He's in a pivotal year, like we've discussed in terms of the contract. Really, the only thing that I think could hold him back is there's one ball, and Jalen and Devontae and AJ are really good, and Saquon's going to touch it. But Dallas Goedert, for this offense to be at its maximum, he needs to be in that top 4 to 6 tight end tier instead of like the 8 to 12 tier.
Hey Zach, this is a lot of time where there's tensions and fights happen with these. Who's your odds-on favorite for the Eagles to start or get in a scrum today?
That's a good question because this has been something going on in joint practices, and I imagine Sirianni's going to talk to them about it because I think the Giants and the Lions both got fined. If C.J. Gardner-Johnson was out there, I would have said he is by far the odds-on favorite. I can see maybe like a Landon Dickerson or Mekhi Becton. Actually, here you go. At practice 2 days ago, Jalen Carter got into it with Tyler Steen. So I'm going to go Jalen Carter for this one.
Oh, you're really sparring with
I like
Tyler
it,
Steen.
Jalen.
Yeah.
Jalen excites me. You think Fangio is going to be moving him up and down the line, kind of matching him up?
Yeah, we've seen him taking some edge rushing snaps this camp. I don't anticipate that being a regular thing, but they know the type of talent he is, and I think I keep hearing these stories from the Eagles offensive linemen when they played against J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt would, in the first quarter, he would go up against every offensive lineman, pick out the one he wanted to feast on, and then he spent the next 3 quarters doing that. I'm not saying that they're going to do that with Jalen Carter, but I do think they're going to move Jalen Carter around and really try to take advantage of him because he is the building block for this defense.
Yeah, I want to see them do that.
Yeah.
I really do. Hey, Hassan Reddick asked for a trade. It's just becoming a mess. I look at what Howie's done in this roster and how he's kind of tipped through the all those time bombs and landmines, and this is a good roster, man. His roster construction is really strong. I mean, I look at each of those moves, and I agree. Like, look, linebacker, safety, we'll see, but he's got a lot of youth that could take some of those spots on defense.
You're right. I think the planning for this roster has been sound. The Hassan Reddick situation, we talked about it in the spring. They saw that coming, right? They didn't trade Hassan Reddick because they didn't think he could rush the quarterback. They traded Hassan Reddick because they looked at the total math of what he wanted and how they can spend that money elsewhere, and they got in front of that. And it still behooves me that the Jets are in this situation, that they would trade for him without some type of resolution. But as far as Howie goes, yeah, I think the big question is he spent some real valuable draft picks in the past 2-3 years on positions where they're relying on young players, the defensive line in particular, edge rushing. You look at the Georgia guys, and then you look at the secondary, right? He spent draft capital there. You look at, I don't know if Tyler Steen's going to start. I would say not, but Cam Jurgens was a high pick, right? The Eagles are counting on Cam Jurgens quite a bit. So Howie's done a real good job with roster planning. But what the key for the roster this year is as you just mentioned, these young guys who they're counting on to be reliable, dependable, in some cases frontline starters need to play like that. And it's this next era for the Eagles. These guys who are 23 to 26 years old who are going to be what the Eagles hope, what Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox and Lane Johnson and Brandon Graham and Zach Ertz at one point, what those guys were.
I know Nolan Smith got a sack, but it was kind of unabated to the quarterback. I mean, it really wasn't, anything. It was more of a gift than anything else. Are you concerned a little bit about Nolan Smith?
Well, with Nolan Smith, what I want to see is like I want to see the pass rush skills, right? When you watch him play, you're getting effort. He's not a guy who takes plays off, but you don't spend the 31st pick in the draft on a try-hard guy.
Right.
You spend it on someone who has elite tools, and you want to see those tools translate. So, I get that he does a good job chasing down the football, that he's active out there, but you want to see him get to the quarterback with athleticism, with pass rush moves. You want to see him be a factor there. And really, when you look at the edge rush, we just spoke about Hassan Reddick. Howie did a good job navigating that situation, but Howie also he needs to replace one of the top edge rushers in the NFL. And sacks are it's a game changing stat, right? And so they change plays, they change games, and where's that going to come from? It could come from Huff, but I think if Nolan Smith can be a 5 to 8 sack guy this year, it changes the defense.
All right, show us behind you. Let's take a look at Foxborough.
Look at that. Yeah, this is
Look at that. Hey.
Yeah. So I was here for joint practices 10 years ago, and I saw Tom Brady. It was probably the best practice I've ever seen. And Curtis Marsh, I think had to retire that day because Tom Brady was picking on him the whole practice. So I do think these joint practices, you learn a lot about the team.
So you're going to be? Will you be tweeting out live plays? I know you're on.
Yeah.
Will you still be on at 2 today?
Yep. Yeah. Bo and I are going to be here at 2, fresh off the practice field. We're going to come up. We're going to do it on the same screen, and we're going to have the most extensive practice reports that we've had on allphly.com. He's going to be watching one field. I'll be watching the other field. So it's going to be like our diehard members. It's going to be like they're here in Foxborough with us.
I love that.
Zach, what do you do when you're up there in Boston to treat yourself? Is there some food you like or a pub you like to go to? Like, what do you like to do up there?
Lobster roll.
I'm a big I do like I'm a big pizza guy. They got great pizza up here.
Yeah.
I took the train up, but if I was driving, I would have stopped in New Haven for sure.
Yeah.
They got good pizza there. But a ticket after your guys' hearts. They have great Italian food up here in Providence. That's where I'm staying. So I'll find some of that. But honestly, work all day today. I got a show tomorrow. The game Thursday night. So there's not a lot of free time here. But I'm thrilled to be here.
He's about business. I love it. I love it, man. Dude, you're killing it. This is awesome. 2:00. Everybody needs to be watching this. This is fresh off the practice, right off the field. You're going to get like in-depth look at what happened today. And really, this is more important than Thursday night, Zach.
Exactly. I don't think they're going to play guys Thursday night. Given the way they've treated joint practices in the past, this is going to be all about the joint practice for sure.
Yeah, look at that. All right. Listen, great stuff, man. Kill it out there. You're doing an amazing job. Z Berman, we love you, buddy.
Thank you. Talk to you guys soon.
All right. Zach Berman, man, live in Boston.
Looks great.
Zach and Bo Wolf will be there. One's got one field. The other one's got the other. And
he's like a kid on Christmas morning. He's all excited. Like
it's me pumped up, man.
It does.
This is football, man.
Yeah.
It is back. It's a big deal. And it is a big deal. And listen, I know we overstate like practice, but it's actually a big deal because you're not going to get that kind of participation on Thursday night for the game.
These are big. These joint practices.
What do you think about Nick telling the guys, like, he did give, I was just reading on Yahoo Sports Game a talk about not getting into a scrum. What do you think about that?
Yeah, listen, the fight just takes away from the work. I mean, truthfully.
You don't like to see a little edge?
I do like to see it myself.
Yeah, me too.
I don't need it.
I get it.
I don't need it.
I like it.
Well, Malik Neighbors is walking by and just he gives a little.
That's football for us, right?
Yeah.
So we love that banal instinct, but I don't need it. I want to see.
I mean, I don't need a cookies and cream ice cream cone, but I like it. I like it. I want to see it.
Summer tensions are high. Guys are fighting for spots. It's fun, man.
All right. Let's talk about the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app, our great sponsor. And by the way, here you go. Taijuan Walker and the Phillies minus 185. I mean, don't you got to like the Phillies tonight? Don't you got to like the Phillies tonight?
What's
BG
the run
does
line?
it.
I'm going minus 1.5 tonight.
Minus 1.5. It is, whatever you, minus 1 and plus 114
Yeah, I'm in.
on the Bet
I'm
Park
going
side.
in.
Listen, I think I even like the -1, where you get a better odds, but you know, even if you win 5-4, you don't lose.
Yeah.
That's always a good way to
VG
look
wins.
at it.
Ice cream on him tomorrow.
When you look at the BetPark Sportsbook app, you can play it always like that. Right? And same thing for NFL stuff. So you can look at the lines and you can lay more odds. So say you like the Eagles in week 1, and so you can bump up the line and get greater payouts. They have all kinds of ways to do it, right? You can look all the money lines, you know, from plus money to laying money, and they have it all there. There's a cavalcade of things you play, same game parlays, live in-game. The BetPark Sportsbook Casino app has it all. And they have a great casino as well. So you can play live blackjack, live roulette, live baccarat with a live dealer right on your phone. You pull it out during a game. You're watching. If you want to play some hands of blackjack, you can see it.
Baccarat.
See the dealer. Boom, boom.
I do the baccarat.
I can see you being a baccarat guy.
Banker.
I
Always the
don't know
banker.
how to play.
All you do is bet banker or player, and you sit back, and they just tell you if you win or lose. It's great.
Really? I don't even know how to play.
I do it at the bars.
I
was at
always
Good
thought
Dog
like
the other
that
night
was
playing
like a rich
baccarat.
man's.
Nah, it's so
like,
easy.
You know, like baccarat.
Well, they give you 2 cards.
And they give you the chips.
Yeah.
You know.
If you get the closest person to 9 wins. They give you 2 cards on both sides, banker, player.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's great. I was doing a Good Dog. I had my phone out on BetParks playing
Look at you.
baccarat at the bar.
That's all. But listen, there's something. Listen, I gotta give you credit, man.
Yeah, man. Pass the time.
Play baccarat. That's
Hey,
impressive.
If you want to get nuts with me on BetParks, you could do Phillies -1.5, Taiwan Walker over 3.5 strikeouts pays plus 280. I think that's what I'm doing tonight.
That's a nice one. I
VG's
like
best
that.
bets.
I love it. I love it. So check that out. And by the way, if you're down in the first 24 hours and you're a new customer, well, you get up to $1,000 back. BetParks.com has all the details. Got to be in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, Ohio, Michigan. Got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. BetParks Sportsbook app.
I like Flyers in 7 in the chat room. He's a diehard Philadelphian. I'd rather drink out of a toilet than eat New England pizza.
Throw some mozzarella on the toilet cake. There you go.
Love it.
man.
All right, cuz. Well, listen, all this talk about pizza. Pizza's one of my favorite beach treats, guys. All right. And there's only one way to store it. And we're talking about our new friends here to the show, our friends over at Rugged Road. For all my people who love being outdoors, and this is the prime time season, right? I know we have less than a month of summer here, but then we got fall, we got tailgating, right? So you guys are going to need something in particular. And today I want to talk to you guys about the Rugged Road 65 V2. What is that exactly? Well, guys, it's the cooler that you need for beach trips, tailgates, whatever you need. Because, guys, this is the best cooler in the game right now. It's ultra light. They don't have that extra added weight. Obviously, you're going to put all your beers and your drinks and your food in there. So it's already going to be heavy. So you don't need a cooler that's already going to be heavy to start with. Ultralight is important, guys, all right? And, of course, we need a lot of space to fit all of our things in there, all right? You can fit up to 65 12-ounce cans of beer, sodas, whatever it may be. Guys, that's a lot of drinks in there. So think about that. 65 of those bad boys? Yeah, it's going to be a lot of space in there for you. Ice stays cold for a long time. They can stay up to 7 days in that cooler, and it can be still solid. That's very, very important. If you're like myself, like to float on the Brigantine Jetty, right? You like to sit back, relax. You can actually throw the cooler out there, and it will float on its own. Now, make sure you keep an eye on it because you don't want it floating away to AC. But that's what the 65 V2 offers here. It comes in 5 different colors, and that's the one product that I would highly recommend for you guys, especially because, listen, I love bringing my drinks outdoors. But guys, for all of our outdoors people who like to fish, people like to hunt, camp, like our boy over here, Andrew Frazier, they have everything that you are going to need for all your outdoor activities here. And of course, guys, gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers, reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use our promo code here today. PHLY will get you 10% off. So what are you waiting for, guys? Get everything you need outdoors here today over at Rugged Road. And make sure you guys use that promo code. And welcome to the family, Rugged Road.
Rugged Road.
Love it.
It's a great name, Rugged Road.
It is.
Rugged Road. That's a ski. You like the Rugged Road. You rugged.
He's a camper.
You're a
He's a
camper.
fisher.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm rugged.
By the campfire, you'll juggle. We said yesterday, that you do.
I can't
You
wait
went to
for
clown
this.
school.
Yeah.
So you're going to be juggling on the show on Friday.
Sounds good. I'm
All
ready.
right, the great jester. All right, a couple things. One, Les Bowen's coming up at 10:20, and Brad Hamilton from Council Rock Little League. Woo! So looking forward to those guys. They're coming up in just a bit, but let's go. I want to do this, and I want to get some VG's notes. But I want to do I want to do the 1980 graph. So we only did one. We did the Eagles. You guys were in 8. All right, so we have to do this every week.
Yes, sir.
So where we're at, if 1980 is the apex, a 10 across the board, where are we at? Eagles, you said 8. Flyers.
6.5.
I'll go 5.
All right.
Wow,
heading in the
I'm
right
more
direction.
optimistic.
I go 6.5 because they're arcing toward it.
Right.
I like the 6.5. I get it. I get where you're at. Phils.
Bills. It's tough because of right now, but I'm still gonna go with 9. I'll go with the solid 9. I'm
You're
looking
gonna go
past. 9? Yeah, I'm looking past this current state. I still have confidence.
My guess is VG's a 7.
Probably like an 8.25.
An 8.25. All right.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So you're still higher than the Eagles, the Phillies.
I'm higher with the Eagles.
You're
said
higher than
8.
the Phillies than the Eagles.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Nick Sirianni's not coaching the Phils.
Sixers. JP.
Because this Olympics got me giddy. I'm going 9.5 here.
9.5. Play the song.
Wow.
9.5.
Para los manos.
Say it's a lock almost.
I
Wow.
love it.
You're going to be singing the song a lot in
Oh, yeah.
Spanish.
I'm ready. Got the vocal cords working. We're good.
Hey, a good solid 8.
8.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think the
I would
Sixers
see
got
it
a shot.
8.5.
I think they got a shot.
You're still lower than the Phillies.
Yeah.
As down you are on the Fightins,
Yeah.
you're still at 8.25. Higher than the Eagles and higher than the Sixers.
Yeah, and I think that skews with the world at large. I mean, they have the second best odds to win the World Series. Eagles have the 5th best odds to win the Super Bowl. I mean,
All right.
yeah.
And one more thing about the Sixers, the closer we get to the season, I'm getting more excited about PG on this team, too.
Yeah, I am too. I'm
Third piece.
I'm excited.
Perfect.
It's gonna be
I love what you did with the roster. Speaking of roster construction, I like this roster.
Some questions of power for, but overall, this is the best
Yeah,
roster
but,
we've had in a
and
while.
here's the beauty is that he's also left himself open to make a trade at the
Good point,
deadline,
Cuz.
right? Like, so you can see what you need. If you need that 4, he's there to get you. You'll have enough ammo to get it.
Max takes that
Yeah,
next
and-
step and be taking this experience back to Philly. I love it.
Yeah. And load management is so much different this year because Embiid's out. You still have 2 studs, Maxey and PG. You can win games. Or if
Well,
PG
you have
takes
Drummond,
a day
too.
off.
Yeah,
Drummond,
Drummond,
rebound
yeah.
machine.
You actually have a big that can play minutes
Yeah.
for you, which is a big deal.
Yeah. And don't sleep on the kid from UCLA.
Yeah, he's
He'll
athletic.
give you some minutes.
Yeah. All right. Hit us with some VG's
Well,
nugs.
I just got to start off. I mentioned this earlier, but our man Brain, his Instagram post. Look at this.
Hey,
Look at this.
Brain.
And
Look at it, Brain.
He posted the beautiful woman who captivated me after I swore off ever being married again. 1 year ago, I asked Queen V to share her life with me. Can't wait to marry her in a few months. I didn't know he's getting married in a few months.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Congrats, Brad. That wedding's going to be ridiculous.
This is the I
Brain.
can't wait to see Versace at the wedding.
Oh, my
What
God.
kind of suits he
And
gets?
this Versace suit.
Wrinkled.
He's definitely a loafers guy, too, by the way. So after that Versace robe.
All right, I'll give you some nugs. Tom Brady would have a perfect record of 10-0 in the Super Bowls if not for these 2 handsome guys.
How great is that?
Eli and Nick Foles.
That is insane.
Pretty
That's
wild, right?
amazing. That's great. That's the truth.
Man, yeah.
Well, I throw my boy up there too because he's the one that stopped that defense, that offense.
Brandon Graham?
Well, I'm talking about with you have Eli. Instead of Eli, I put Spags' face. on Spags.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. So it was Shohei Ohtani yesterday. He says, I like to play in the Olympics. It's all about the fans watching games. I think it would be really good for the baseball industry. What do you think? Bryce Harper's vocally about it. Aaron Judge wants in on the next one.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Think about it because it's in LA. It's easy to pause the season.
I would love to do it.
Yeah.
I'd pause it all day long.
Yeah.
Well, and the issue too is, you have it. You grow the sport a little bit. It's big, obviously, in Asia.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Australia's got it, and we've seen it. Now all of a sudden, Europe. There's some vibrancy with baseball.
Yeah.
They're growing it in London with Utley, who's there. We have the Italian pitcher.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Aldigeri.
Yeah.
Aldigeri.
So, because some people were saying maybe it'd just be the top prospects or maybe it's the MLB
Yeah,
players.
I think you go MLB. Listen,
so
if
much
I'm
fun.
an MLB guys, I went in on the fun.
Yeah, I think they're feeling a little envious.
Yeah,
over what
they're
they
like,
just
look
saw.
at the NBA guys are doing it.
Yeah.
Why can't we do it?
Yeah.
I love seeing the teammates face each other in the Olympics too.
Yeah. I would love to do that.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. Aaron Judge, he's got 42 home runs. Oh, no. Yeah. Let me do this. I'm screwing skis up. I gave him the wrong order. But Aaron Judge has got 42 home runs. He's got an on-base percentage of .462 right now. The last 4 players that have that mark in a season are Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds, and Barry Bonds.
Wow. Wow.
And that's it.
Is that a normal size water bottle?
Right.
Or is
That's
that
a
mini?
good call, man. Dude, I think that's a regular 12-ouncer.
Dude, I think so too.
That thing is tiny in his hand.
It's like Andre the
He
Giant.
is a
hand.
monster.
Well, you think it's like like when you get really thirsty and you start drinking it really fast and it starts
Come
shrinking
on,
a
though.
little
Look
bit.
at that.
That is a good call, Skeeves. He's a monster, dude. He
Yeah, he
really
is.
is.
He's built like a defensive end.
He's built like a gladiator, some
Yeah.
kind of warrior from
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
ancient Greek. I don't have any visuals for this one, but this nog I just found this morning. Will Wagner made his MLB
Saw that.
debut
Toronto?
last night.
Yeah.
3 hits in his first 3 at bats, son of Billy Wagner.
Right.
Wow, Billy Wagner. I swear, I saw Wagner because I'm a nerd, a box
Yeah.
score nerd.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, Wagner, who's that?
Billy Wagner's son.
Billy Wagner's son.
Yeah.
His debut. Insane.
MLB power rankings came out. We have one from Fox and one from MLB.
I think I saw a Fox one.
Yeah, Phils are still looking okay in them.
They're still high on them, right?
Yeah, let me pull up the game. Let's see.
Yeah, but you're sitting here going,
MLB's got or Fox
you're
News.
you're so worried, and yet you find the power rankings. You
Well,
look at
they're
the
dropping
odds.
off. Fox
well,
News-
what's the matter with
Fox
you?
News has them. Fox Sports has them at 3. Orioles, Yankees, and Phillies. I'm surprised Dodgers aren't ahead of the Phillies. It's a little bunk. And MLB Network: Orioles, Phillies, Yankees, Dodgers again. Both
that's
of them
what I
have
saw.
the Dodgers ahead, behind us. I don't know. It gives you some hope. It's just a feeling. They were fun. They're not fun right now.
Okay, well,
And it's
but
every. You know
you
how much,
can't. You
when
can't
it's going
have
well
it.
and it's every
But
day.
this is partly as a Philadelphia thing too. You're not going to. It can't be fun for 162. Like
Gotta
you're
go
not going to
diversity.
have that. That's unrealistic.
Yeah, but it's like compounding interest, you know, that factor. And it's what we love about baseball is it's every day, but when it's not going well, the everyday beating. You know, it's tough. It's tough to deal with.
Doesn't help that we were so high up a couple months ago with the Phils.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Perspective.
that.
It's
There's
just
all that.
perspective.
I'm with you, cuz. I'm not worried here.
VJ.
We're chill as a cucumber.
So I want to talk about college
Although
football.
he is wearing the hat.
Yeah, I put the hat on purpose today.
What, get some vibes?
Yeah, you know.
The good vibes. What are you, Garrett Stubbs? The vibes guy.
They might need a new vibes guy. I mean, it might be time to bring
BG,
up
go in there.
Marshan.
Go in the dugout, man.
So check this out. In NCAA football, not the game, but in real life. I know we forget there's a real
the
life
game, not the
NCAA
game.
football.
We're approaching week 0.
Oh.
So check this out. In 18 of the last 20 seasons, a preseason top 10 team has finished unranked. Who would that team be this year? I'll give you the top 10 teams.
Okay.
They are Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Bama, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, Florida State.
Florida State probably
You think
is
Florida
the best chance. I mean, they're good, but they would have the best chance of finishing. I've fallen off. I mean, Alabama's interesting, but they still, it's not Saban,
That's
so
the
it's
thing.
the transition.
Yeah.
but they still have a ton they got a ton of good
That would
recruits.
be my question mark. How they would adjust
Michigan without Harbaugh, but again, they're pretty loaded. Even though you have a new quarterback, you're starting over. So they're like Ole Miss
I was going to say
is
Ole Miss.
legit.
You think they're legit?
Oh no, yeah. Like it was funny because I think people would say Ole Miss. Ole Miss is great.
Lane Kiffin put a team together?
No, dude. Well, the NIL money put the team together. Like
the
Ole
factor these
Miss
days.
is nasty. They're going to be really good.
Can't wait for us
Like
to see
I think
football
they
this
win
year.
the SEC.
Wow.
I go.
Be fun.
I just can't be objective. I go Notre Dame. Unranked.
Why do you hate the Irish?
It's not. It's almost
It's
like
amazing. Notre Dame. Even people either they love them or hate them.
it's almost like
I don't like
Cowboys
them.
fans. The Notre Dame
Yeah.
fans are a bit much.
Yeah.
Really?
They're even worse than the Penn State fans.
I also
Just
have
a
some bad
bit
memories
much.
too.
But
yeah.
they're Irish. Come on.
Oh, yeah, you're a Notre Dame guy too over there.
Yeah.
You're Notre Dame.
I have always loved Notre
Mr.
Dame.
Ireland.
Just more like as
Was
a
it the Catholic
tradition.
thing?
The tradition of it, it's incredible. I spent I go there a lot when I was working in New York, covering
South Bend.
all those sports and do a lot of. I did a weekly college football game and a weekly NFL game every week, and I loved going there. I spent a week in August there doing a preseason story.
Yeah.
I mean, you just feel like it feels like football.
I did watch a lot of Notre Dame when Charlie Weiss was there when they had like Brady Quinn, Darius Walker, Jeff Samardzija, all those guys. I enjoyed those years.
We did a trip, but my buddy Boo and all the guys, Tooch, we did a trip to Penn State, Notre Dame in,
that's a good game.
in South Bend.
Yeah.
And it was, I think it was 92,
Wow.
right? And it was snowing.
No way.
It was incredible. Yeah, it was awesome.
That's
I mean,
exciting.
were you a fan like growing up as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like a fugazi college football. I like a
You root
lot
for
of teams.
teams.
Like I just kind of like programs, and I love the sport.
Yeah.
It's weird. Listen, going to Temple and grow up around here. The closest thing we had was Penn State.
Yeah.
But when you're Temple, you get kicked. Penn State kicks your teeth in every week. You get tired of that. But I guess I have a little bit of sympathizer in me with Penn State. Like
I'm a Michigan sympathizer.
I like to see them. I like to see them win.
Well, now your team's Nebraska.
Well, I like like
see.
that because of relationships. But that stuff's fun.
Yeah.
I love college football.
Yeah, I know
be
you
fun
do.
this year.
I know.
I do. It's going to be a great year.
Oh yeah.
And week 0 is coming up. You have one more?
Week 0. Yeah, I got another one. The Bengals announced for the first time ever they're going to be wearing orange pants this year.
Wow.
What do you think about this?
I like the orange pants.
You like the orange on orange?
Yeah, I like orange.
I like the orange
Yeah.
and black during the Chad Johnson days.
Yeah?
That was good.
I
I like
like
the
it with the
orange.
black socks better.
They look a little Broncos-ish.
They do look a little
Okay, I see what you're
Broncos.
saying, cuz.
Yeah, I could use a little more black somewhere.
Yeah. No, their uniforms have always been pretty solid.
Yeah, I don't know if I love the helmet. I'm always in.
Really?
Can't figure out if I like that Bengals helmet or
It was
not.
bad. It
Really?
was
like-
bad
you
in the
guys like-
60s when
you
they
guys
had the
like-
Bengals on the side.
I
That's
kind
just
of like
nice.
the Bengals.
You
on the
like
side.
that when it
Yeah.
said Bengals on the side?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do. You like that?
Yeah, I kind
Yeah, I
of
like the tiger stripes.
Yeah.
This looks like
tough.
a weird like Wolverine ripoff, kind of. No.
I don't know. I didn't think about that. Nah, I don't know.
It's nice.
All right, let me tell you about Parks Casino. We'll get to Les Bowen coming up shortly. And then Brad Hamilton, the coach of Council Rock, Newtown, Bucks County, Little League World Series. But let's talk about Parks Casino, Street Road, Ben Salem, a mecca of entertainment. Tomorrow begins the Epic Happy Hour, Wednesday through Sunday, not just through Friday. Wednesday through Sunday is the Parks Casino Epic $5 Happy Hour. So right there, you get $5 pills, Parks pills, all your $5 drafts, $5 Albertoni Cabernet, $5 Twisted Tea, frozen Arnold Palmer's, the drink of summer. $5 small plates are just amazing. Braised short rib sliders, hot honey chicken sliders. I mean, they got it all at that epic $5 happy hour that's happening right now. Check out Parks Casino, all your fun, right? So you could start happy hour at the Liberty Bell Gastropub. But you want a big dinner, Park Steakhouse is unbelievable. You got the Bamboo Noodle House, which is amazing, right? Like it's hand-rolled sushi. all kinds of great restaurant, great fare. If you're looking for some fun and entertainment, every week the Joe Conklin comedy nights there. All right, at the 360 Lounge. You got the greatest acts, the 1,500-seat Excite Center. You got all kinds of big-time national comedians and musical acts that come in. They're stocked through the fall. You got to check that out. Tiffany Haddish is one. JB Smoove, who's hysterical from Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's there. Parks Casino, again, of course, all the table games. You got all state-of-the-art slots. The poker room's amazing. The sports book's ridiculous. They got it all. Parks Casino, Street Road, Bend, Salem. You got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parks Casino, you love to play. You play. You got to go to Parks Casino.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Well, listen, you know what time it is. 10:21 in the morning here on the Anthony Gargano Show. Thank you so much for tuning on in. We truly appreciate you guys taking the time of your day to watch us. Guys, make sure if you're watching live on YouTube, hit that like button. And also subscribe, not only for this show, but we also have great beat shows here from all of our Philly sports teams. So make sure you guys are in the loop of things. And of course, guys, we are available on podcast streaming platforms as well. Apple, Google, Spotify, whatever you use, we are available there. Make sure you guys are subscribed there as well. And we would appreciate if you leave a little rating as well. And here's what's on the docket here at PHLY Sports. Following us at 1 p.m., we have PHLY Flyers going live at 2 p.m. You just saw Zach. Zach and Bo will be live at 2, talking about everything going on in that joint practice here today. At 3 p.m., we have PHLY Sixers. And then tonight, following Game 1 against the Marlins, PHLY Phillies will be going live for the post-game show. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that after the show. And of course, guys, speaking of PHLY Phillies, mark your calendars right now. August 29th, a Thursday, we have a watch party. As you guys know, we know how to throw a watch party here at PHLY Sports. We will be live at Top Tomato. It's located on South 11th Street, guys. Listen to this. We have $1 12-ounce cans of beer and $1 hot dogs at Top Tomato. Guys, no one is doing that. So make sure.
Dollar dogs.
$1 dogs. You were mad that the Phillies got rid of them, but Top Tomato has it for you. So make sure you guys go to allphly.com/events. You can get further info, but make it easier for yourself. Just become a diehard, guys. You'll get all this information that I just told you straight to you, as well as you'll get exclusive content from all of our beat writers who are putting fantastic stuff out there on allphly.com. You get discounts on merchandise. You'll always see us rocking that great swag that we have here at PHLY Sports. And of course, you get access into those Discord channels, guys, right? We have some great communities going on there, so make sure you guys become a diehard. And one more note for you guys as well. The Cuz is taking calls, guys, all right? We want you here. We want to hear you guys talking to the Cuz. DM us at PHLY Gargano Show. Again, that's PHLY Gargano Show on Twitter. We'll get you those directions. We want to hear from you guys, so make sure you guys keep that in mind. That's what we got going on here at PHLY Sports. Cuz,
all right, JP. This portion of the show brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Check out TrueMark.com/PHLY. Stop at your local branch to learn more about the credit union difference at TrueMark Financial today. All right, joining us, a contributor to PHLY. He is terrific, allphly.com. One of the media legends in town, formerly the Daily News, my favorite. Our buddy Les Bowen joins us. Les, good morning.
Good morning, Anthony. How's everything there?
Good. You have always had this, Les. You've always had this calming kind of great persona. You've always had a good, calm persona.
Well, I try, every now and then I get fired up, but I'm a reasonably calm person.
Hey, before we start and talk birds, I want to talk a little bit about your career, because when you first came here, you covered Flyers. And go ahead.
Yeah. Well, actually, when I first came here, it's a long story. I'll make it as short as possible. Came up here from Charlotte. My wife and I both worked at the Charlotte paper, which was in the same chain as the Philly papers. My wife got a job at the Inquirer. We were really young and just married, and I didn't have a job. And I ended up as a copy editor at the Daily News for like 4.5 years, working overnight. Before I screwed that up enough that they let me write again. And then I got flyers, and I kind of lied to them. I did. There was a hockey team in Charlotte growing up, and I did go see their games. But I knew what the blue line was. That was about it, really. But I really wanted to beat, and I got the flyers. And I did that for a long time, but the travel was horrendous, and my kids were getting older. The ball games and concerts and things I was missing, and Eagles beat came up, and 8 road games a year. I kind of like that idea. Plus the bigger stage, I guess, for the Eagles. And it all worked out real well for me. I was really lucky.
That Daily News staff was a legendary staff that you're a part of. I mean, Rich Hoffman and Stan Hockman and Phil Jasner on the
Ray
Sixers.
Yeah.
I mean, doing basketball. I mean, it was incredible. Paul used to do the Phillies. I mean, and of course, our buddy Pat McClune, who was a true Philadelphian, man.
Yes.
It was, and I was at the Inquirer, and I used to love hanging out with you guys. I'd always go see Pat all the time.
You remember that trip to Calgary? You were for some reason, you were in Calgary with us when I was covering the Flyers, and we got to the rental car place, and all they had was a gigantic Ford pickup truck. It was like an F-350, and you decided you wanted to ride in the bed of the Ford pickup truck on the way to the hotel.
I forgot all about that. I remember the weather being beautiful in Calgary.
Yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful late winter day there in Calgary. But I got to the hotel, and it had one of those parking garages, and my F-350 would not fit in the parking garage.
I do. Now that you say that, I forgot all about it. Yeah, I said I'll ride in the bed. Yeah.
Like a farm kid.
Yeah. I was like, wow, this is awesome, man. That was a fun trip. You guys were great.
Yeah. I miss those cities. Those are great cities. Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver.
Vancouver was unbelievable. Yeah. That city's gorgeous. My God. So
that is an amazing place.
What stood out the most? I mean, you go from Flyers to the Eagles, right? And all your years on the Eagles beat. Give me your 3 moments that really stand out.
Well, the very first year, I think the first time you do anything, it's something you remember more clearly than the first year was the year that they lost to Tampa Bay in that NFC Championship game. They closed down the vet, and I didn't want to wait for the elevator at the end of the game, so I ran down the ramps, to get to the locker room, and all you could hear, nobody said anything, but thousands and thousands of people just tramping down those ramps. The sound of the feet marching was the only sound. No one said a word, all the way down. I remember that. That was probably that. Unfortunately, that's one of my clearest memories. The Super Bowl that they won.
Real quick off of that, I remember I was writing, doing magazine and book stuff, and so I was on the sidelines, and I just remember the quiet that you talk about. Yeah. Like you could hear the Buccaneers on the other side of the field whooping it up, and I remember looking at, like you said, looking at the stands, and it was like zombies. Everybody was there was, especially the way the day started, because you had the B. Mitch return, Deuce takes it in for a touchdown, and you're thinking, oh my God, all right, they're going to roll. And you were just in a state, you were completely perplexed.
Yeah, that was the worst loss. I know that's a big topic that we don't want to get sidetracked on, but of all those losses, that was the worst one, because Tampa Bay, they'd beaten Tampa Bay fairly easily in the regular season in October. Nothing much had changed for either team. And then Tampa Bay got to play the Raiders with 150-year-old Rich Gannon in the Super Bowl. And it was probably the least competitive Super Bowl I ever covered. And I covered more than a dozen of them, probably more than 15 of them over the years. The Raiders weren't any good. And that was the year. The Eagles still had the defense that year.
Yeah.
Along with McNabb. They didn't have receivers, but they had Deuce, and they were good enough, to beat the Raiders certainly and win the Super Bowl. And how much would have been different if that had happened, but it didn't.
I think about it. Andy Reid would probably still be here if he cashes in on one of the Super Bowls. Then he's here for life.
Yeah,
which he should have been.
Yeah, and then I'll take offbeat thing. I mean, everybody, the Super Bowl they won obviously was. I still don't quite believe it. It was hard to write because you were so astonished, and part of you wanted to be in the moment and sort of taking this in. We had to file at the end of the game, and I'm trying to write it. I was writing about Doug Peterson that day. I wasn't writing the gamer. Zach Berman was writing the gamer. I wish I'd been writing the gamer, but I had Doug Peterson, and I'm trying to organize my thoughts about Doug Peterson, and I'm watching, the seconds tick down, and Brady throwing that Hail Mary, and it was. I mean, you value yourself on being a professional and being able to disassociate and do your job under any circumstance, but that particular circumstance was the most trying because I was so cognizant of the enormity of this moment. It was more enormous than any other moment I ever covered in sports.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a video somewhere of one of my sons calling the other son on the phone and crying. They're both in tears of joy. I mean, it was such a momentous thing. It was hard to work. And I don't think I did a great job on that Doug Peterson piece. It was okay. But, I was kind of like, oh
can you
God.
believe all this time and it finally came to fruition? It's funny because, I think there's some misconception at times when it comes to the media because people think that the media wants teams to lose, and that's not the case. You don't root for it in that sense when you're in the press box, but, a moment like that is not lost on you, and you see it through the prism of your kid's eyes. And let's face it, I mean, I could just talk from my perspective, which is I love when everybody's happy. And that story, the great story is them winning and putting finally it to bed.
Yeah. And if I had to go with a third one, it would be a very odd one, but it sticks in my mind because it was such a momentous, it's the same season. We're out in LA. We've been there a whole week practicing in Anaheim at the Angels Stadium, which Mike Trout helped set up. And every Eagles player had a Mike Trout bobblehead in his locker the first day of practice. So we've been in LA a whole week after they lost in Seattle. And they came down to Orange County and practiced for a week. And then we go to the old LA Coliseum. They're trying to rebuild it at that time for USC. The Rams are still playing there. They have porta potties. And Jeffrey Lurie comes out of a porta potty ahead of me. And I got to think Jeffrey Lurie doesn't go in a lot of porta potties. But so the game goes on. It's an amazing game. The two best teams in the NFC, I think, and they're blow to blow. Wentz and Goff, and then Wentz tears his ACL, and I just think, okay, well, that's over. And the locker rooms are so old and decrepit there that they don't let you go in the locker room, which you always go in the locker room. Instead, they bring players out, and you're outside. It's LA, so it's like 80 degrees. You're outside, and it's dark, but there's these lights beaming down. And Carson Wentz comes riding by on the back of a golf cart, just looking, like this. And at that moment, I thought, well, yeah, that's, oh well, so much for the season. There it goes, riding past me on the golf cart.
Yeah.
I never dreamed about what would happen after that. And, I guess that's my third big memory.
Amazing, amazing stuff. I'll ask you, how do you feel? Now, you've covered this team. You know this team inside out. We just chronicled, 22 years. As you enter the 24 season, what's your big picture outlook?
They ought to be good. I mean, obviously, they've made some moves to shore up the defense. They brought in Kellen Moore to run an offense that doesn't depend on bubble screens. And theoretically, on paper, a lot of work. But there's so many. The whole issue of taking the offense away from Nick Sirianni, the whole issue of, was it Jalen Hurts last year that was really the problem? I don't think so, but I don't know. The whole issue of, do they have a starting NFL linebacker in the building? No Jason Kelsey. That's an issue. There are so many things that can happen here, irrespective of like season-ending injuries to key players. Obviously, you always have
Right.
that. But there's a lot of little things that, if things don't go well offensively, are we going to start seeing, source close to Nick Sirianni tells Ian Rappaport that, Kellen Moore was not Nick's idea. What can happen. You've
Right.
been through all of this. I'm optimistic, but I also see where things can go really badly wrong.
No, I mean, in fact, you brought it up, VG, about the piece you read on ESPN,
Bill Barnwell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so many questions. They have a high ceiling, but they had a low floor too. And there's a chance they make the Super Bowl, a chance they don't make the postseason.
Hey, what we saw last year, they don't want to talk about it. And I know Tim McManus finally wrote a really good piece, I thought, about it last week, kind of the best effort I've seen at it, really explaining what the hell happened. But we all saw what happened the end of last season. Yes, they've made some changes, but until they win games again, they're still that team that wasn't competitive at the end of last season for whatever reason. And that leaves a mark, man. You don't just dance away from that and say, oh, that was last year. No.
All right.
I want to see them show some grit and some cohesiveness, against real teams, against good teams.
Hey, Les, I've been reading you forever, huge fan. But I realized when I heard you were coming on, I was excited. I was like, I don't know anything about Les, so now I get a chance to ask Les some questions. What is the first concert you ever went to? Who'd you see? Where was it? How old were you?
Oh, God. It would have been in Charlotte where I grew up. Might have been Jimmy Buffett, actually, before he got famous,
Yeah.
That's a good possibility.
Are you still a Parrot head?
No, he got so commercial, and so it was like he was everybody's frat guy, act like an idiot kind of. I respected his music, but I kind of got away from that sort of.
Oh. Les is one of those hipsters that likes them when they first come out and they get popular. He doesn't want no piece of them.
A little bit. I went to see Zach Bryan last week. I'm not that. I'm not that old, but I was the oldest person there. But what are you going to do?
Hey,
he had that Springsteen guy come out with him. I think he might do pretty well.
Have you ever had long hair? Like not 70s shaggy, but long hair?
It was more like a helmet hair, gosh, my hair was kind of curly, so I couldn't grow it long and straight. It was like the helmet hair down over my ears and big sideburns, mutton chop sideburns,
Oh, nice.
It was a look. I can send you a picture if you'd like.
Please do.
I love it. Hey, Les, last thing, just curious, kind of looking forward to as we go through this journey of this season, the Eagles' enormity. You've kind of watched it, right? Like, this has always been a sports town, right? Like, when I was growing up here, it was, I always talk about 1980 being the barometer. I'm a little boy, and their teams are really good. When you get here, and I guess you got here in 88, 89.
83 as a copy editor, but
83, even better. So when you get here in 83, you kind of see this thing kind of really take off. And the Eagles, the Eagles weren't like that. Like now, it's amazing. They're every bit of America's team than as the Cowboys are. Celebrities, all across. It's amazing, incredible. The enormity of the Eagles.
Yeah, I would say in the mid 80s, the Phillies and the Eagles were kind of 1 and 1A, and maybe the Sixers, because they won in 83, were almost right there. And really the Flyers, were going to Stanley Cup finals under Mike Keenan. It was all, the Eagles had not really separated themselves from the pack at that point in the Marion Campbell era. That wasn't, people cared about them, but it wasn't anything like it is today. Of course, that was before sports talk radio, you and all those guys, and before a lot of stuff, social media and being able to watch cut up film on your laptop and all that. But yeah, it's a different world than it was in the mid '80s.
It's even if you go into the '90s, I mean, it was big, right? Like Buddy Ryan brought it to another level because he was highly entertaining. But then if you remember the '90s, I mean, it was big, but the '93 Phillies were probably the biggest story of the '90s, and then it just explodes. Like the Flyers were huge, and then the Eagle thing really just explodes into this other pantheon. It's a fascinating.
The whole NFL took off, and it had a lot to do with gambling, frankly. But and fantasy football and things like that. But yeah, it's you wonder how much bigger it can get from a reporter standpoint. And I don't want to bore people to death here, but it's a lot worse than it used to be, because the kind of stories I like to do were the kind where you got access to go to somebody's home or to sit down with them. It's gone so far in the other direction now. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but the Players Association in the NFL wants to stop reporters coming into the locker room.
Yeah.
They want to have press conferences.
I saw that. Yeah.
If they're just going to have press conferences, I can cover the team as well as anybody else from my laptop.
I know.
I mean,
listen, you're talking to me. I mean, I loved that part of it. Like, I went to, I had breakfast at Donovan's house. I could see it. In Dalton, Illinois. It was a leafy suburb south of Chicago. And, his mom made pancakes. And I remember, hanging out. And that sort of look, like, it's a shame because you went into it just wanting to tell the story of someone. Yeah. And doing it justice, right? Doing the personal part of it, to getting to know the person of it. And I do think I miss that. I look at Jalen, and listen, it's his prerogative not to open up, but I would love to see Jalen unabashed, right? Yeah. Like, at home doing his thing.
Embrace it like Jason Kelsey has.
Yes.
There's bad that comes with it, but there's a lot of good too, and it just doesn't, if I were starting out today, I don't know that I would do this, because I got into it to write for a living, and sports was kind of a bonus, I wanted to write for a living somehow. And
that's why I got into it.
It's about now. It's more about stuff like this, which is fine. But writing isn't a big deal. There's a few outlets that can still do that have the swag to get access, but unless you work for one of those outlets that have a big name, you don't get to do it. The last big story I did for the Inquirer before I retired, I don't know if you remember this, but I went to Devontae Smith's hometown after the draft.
I do remember that. I do.
Louisiana, and it turned out really, really well. But that was the last thing like that I'll probably ever get to do.
Yeah, I love that stuff too. That's why I got into it, to be a storyteller and to write about it. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Les, did you get more hate mail from Flyers fans or Eagles fans?
Oh, Eagles. It's just a bigger deal, Eagles. And it's also, I covered the Flyers back before social media. So it was very different. You got email, but a lot of times it was like long involved. Here's my trade proposition. I would like to see Bob Clark trade so-and-so for, oh, thanks. But Flyers fans were kind of long-suffering. They
still are.
Back in those days, things have changed because the ownership changed, and people are no longer as patient as they once were with they felt like, Ed Snyder, even if he screwed up, he was trying hard. He was spending the money. He was
Right.
doing anything he could, even if it was the wrong thing, to win. Lately, there hasn't been. I think they're getting it back now with Jonesy and Danny Briere. I think they're on the right track. But there was a period there several years ago that I like nothing I've ever seen. And the Flyers missed the playoffs the first 5 years I covered them. But even so, it was never like it was here a few years ago when people were just wouldn't come to the games.
Yeah.
It was out.
Yeah.
It was done.
But
Les, take
before I
us
go
through.
real quick, I've been looking at reports from that practice in Foxborough. Cooper DeJean has the pads on today.
Yeah.
So,
That's big. Yeah, that's
Zach and Bo will be talking about that, and that's a big development, I think. And I think Paris Campbell is practicing today too, which is given how the wide receiver threes looked Friday night. That's a good thing too.
I'm with you. Les, such a treat, man. I got to tell you.
Good to talk to you anytime.
Really, always. You're a treasure, man. We love you, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Here he is, Les Bowen. He took us back into time.
I love that.
That's our back in the day moment, brought to you by Rite Aid. Go to riteaid.com, all your favorite goods and everything. But Les through the years, Les, again, being there since '83, covered the Flyers, then covered the Eagles.
I'd love to have his voice as my GPS voice.
Yeah, very calm,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
he's very. I forgot the time I rode in the back of the F-150.
I could so see you doing
sticking
that.
out of your mouth.
I mean, I was like probably
Cowboy hat, cowboy boots.
probably like 28 and out there. That was fun. All right, I love. We were talking less about pro sports and how big it is. One of the things I do love is I love youth sports. I have two boys. One that plays football. They both play football, but my little one plays 11U baseball. He's going into 12U, and I love it. I love the stories of youth sports, and we got a great one.
Yeah, we do.
This is so cool, man. I love it. Council Rock, Newtown, Bucks County is in the Little League World Series.
Yeah.
And joining us is the coach, Brad Hamilton. Brad, man, congratulations, buddy. This is awesome.
Thank you. It is better than awesome, Anthony. If you know what youth sports is about, this is the pinnacle.
I love it. I'm looking. I see the bunting in the background. Tell us what this. Oh, look at the kids. I love this. Tell us the story of you guys and how it all began, and take us through the journey.
So you said you had a boy playing 11. So it starts young. It starts at 6 with coach pitch and all the long, boring games that you got to sit through in Northeast baseball weather. And the core's been together for a long time, and watching them develop year after year has probably been one of the most rewarding things for me as a coach, because this, when you get into it, there's a lot of crazy coaches out there that can, run kids into the ground and all. And our philosophy was, let's just set up a good space so that these guys can be healthy 15, 16, 17-year-old baseball players. And if we do it right, fundamentals, wins will take care of themselves. So we don't really focus on the winning aspect. Don't get me wrong. When it's time to win, we're going to try our best to win, but it's not going to be at the expense of a boy.
Well, I love that too. And sometimes we try to fast forward and we want to treat them, especially with travel ball, as you know, you want to treat them like big leaguers, where you really need to teach the game, right? You need to let them fall and foster the love of the game, and then let their talents dictate where they can play, and let them try every position and kind of grow together. And that's what it seems like you've done at that program, where you've kind of let them, you've kind of brought them along, kind of nurtured them a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm a big believer that, you'll see us at the Little League World Series, and we may win it all and we may lose the first two. It doesn't, at this point, I don't want to say it doesn't matter. It does. But what I try to do, and what I'm most proud of with my coaching staff, Kyle and Doug, is that we play everybody a minimum of 3 innings. So you'll see most of these teams are playing everybody that they want, the 9 players, and they're playing 6 innings, and there's 3 boys that sit the whole game. we kind of came into this with a real, I played all the way through Temple University baseball. So it's not about winning 12-year-old baseball games as much as what you said, Anthony. It's putting the fundamentals into their belly and saying, look, you might have won this game, but you didn't do it well, right? And that's the reminder that we've kind of, the philosophy we've developed with these boys. And I had an older son that allowed me to, I call them the OG, right? That allowed me to sort of figure this out a little bit on how I wanted to be as a coach and my mistakes with them and all. And, it's building those fundamentals that winning is an outcome of what you do in practice. But at the same time, you can lose a game and still be great and still play awesome. And sometimes you just get beat. And that's the trick of trying to tell 12-year-olds, you're okay. That was a good ground ball. You just brought in an RBI, right? Don't slam your helmet. So it's a balancing act. But I think that at the end of the day, I think the way we did it is probably the most prideful thing for me as a youth coach.
And you got to talk. We got to touch on pitching because you also see guys just kind of ride their kids and just throw them out, and that's a big piece of it. So playing the way you play it, where all those kids play, I think it helps, and I'm sure you kind of do the same thing when it comes to pitching.
So I was a pitcher at heart. So we're built on pitching and defense. Hitting comes and goes, right? Every kid's going to have a 2-week period where life looked bad, right? So what I do with pitching is exactly that. I want these kids to be as healthy as possible. So my job is to manage and not ride one boy through. We have a boy who's our top pitcher, no doubt. And I tell the parents that we're going to compete to win when it's time to win, but it's not going to be at the expense of a particular boy, right? I have pitchers that have, higher velo, and then I have boys that I call the bridge, right? My son's one of them. He's 5'1", 75 pounds. East Region went in. I think by the time we were done the second game, he had already pitched more innings than my top two pitchers because he got in and he was effective. So we let him ride a little bit. We call him the Walt Whitman for that reason, right? So it's a way to allow me to not have to focus on one pitcher. And you know this, Anthony, growing up, right? I lost my arm when I was 12, not when I was in college. So I try to manage that and make sure they're healthy going.
That's so spot on, man. You did. You lost it young. Although all those reps, I see it. My little guy had little league elbow because he's playing little league and travel ball, and it's just a lot of baseball. So take us through your own journey. This team, what has it been like the last 2 weeks leading up to Williamsport? Oh, this is such a good story. Maybe we could get him back.
East Region does a nice job of.
Here we go. Nah,
I'm
lost
sorry.
it.
Sorry about that.
Let's see if we can get it back.
Better spot?
Yeah, this is good.
All right, I'll stay here. So East Region did a really nice job of building us up for Williamsport. They put us in dorms. It's the only region where you actually stay on the facility. And you have to leave as a team. So it was a little bit different in sections and districts. And you started to feel like, hey, something different here, right? ESPN's doing reports and stuff like that. And that's where East Region does a nice job of preparing us for this. The biggest thing is that the boys haven't been home pretty much since July 23rd because we left for states then. And we had 3 days in between. So we've actually started as coaches to check in on them just to make sure, hey, you're good? My door's here. You want to come in and talk? If you need a hug, whatever you need an extra pillow, just tell me because they're 12. And that's the juxtaposition that we're in right now, right? You have 12-year-olds living their dream, but also 12-year-olds who miss mom and dad. The journey's been great, and the boys have been awesome. But I think for me being 50 years old, it's probably worn me out more than them.
Dude, I can only imagine, brother. I can only imagine. Give us some of the kids, share some of their names so we can follow along and root for you guys.
Yep, I'll go right down my lineup. You have Dean Hamilton, who leads off. You have Braden Pfeiffer, who's my number 2 guy playing shortstop. Tyler Neild, who is a third baseman, first baseman, and pitcher. He's the one who shut it down for us at East Region. We have Sav Longo. He's my top starter. He'll probably start game 1. After that, you have a boy named Grayson Gage. He plays our outfield. After that, you have Gavin Caudill. He's a hockey player / baseball player, just a tough kid. Behind him, you have Rocco DeBronzo, probably the best name in baseball, at least at Little League. And then you have Brody Gage. His cousin Grayson's on the team, so they got a little family thing going. After that, you have Ryan Ewell, who had a big double for us, bases loaded clearing double to clinch the East Region. You have Wes Steves, who's another catcher. Him and Ryan are both our catchers. They split the games 3 innings each. And then you have behind them, good morning. Behind them you have, Wes Steves, Ryan Ewell, Will Siviter. I'm hoping I didn't skip anyone. Will Siviter, Tyler Wexler. And I think that's it. That should be 12.
That's
awesome. If I missed someone, I apologize. So all good kids, and they're all contributing. This is the Venezuelan team coming right behind us now.
Oh, that's cool. Look at that. That's fantastic. I love that. That's so cool. So you guys play Thursday night at 7 o'clock, right?
Thursday night, 7 p.m. on ESPN. Yep. On ESPN.
Oh, that's so cool, dude. The kids got to be like on cloud 9, man. Like being around on that stage and ESPN. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's been great. We're trying to do all these interviews because, as you know, Anthony, it's in Philly, you guys can punch each other in the face. We can kick each other, but when one of us do well, it's amazing the outpouring of love.
Yes.
It is awesome, man. Philly and everywhere around has just been wonderful to us. So we're trying to absorb it. We're trying to let the boys have as much fun when they are outside of the baseball lines. They practice earlier in the cages. They're heading down the field for another hour and a half practice. And then when they come back, we have the parade tonight, and then we're going to let them go with their parents. But they all want to be here trading pins, playing in the rec center. They all play ping pong together, and they're having record tallies of which country's beating them or not. It's just an amazing experience for 12-year-olds.
That's so great. Hey, what will be your message to them? About where they're at and before the first game. What will you tell them?
So it's been a little frustrating because we were supposed to have a practice in the main stadium, and we haven't been able to. So our first practice, I tell them to focus on us, right? Everyone's asking me how Texas is or how this team is. And, if we're not doing our thing, it doesn't matter who we're playing. We're going to lose in baseball. So, my message to them consistently has been be where your feet are, which is such a cliche. It's such a little league guy cliche. However, when they're 12, to them, it's not. It's new. Everything I say is new.
That's right.
And I'll be honest with you, they've latched on to that. So I think it calms them that, hey, man, you're going to make mistakes in baseball. Coaches are going to get yelling at you. Hey, you got to blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, just look at your feet, know where you are, move on to the next play, and knock it out.
I love it. It's a beautiful message, Brad. It really is. It's a great story. You guys are fantastic. And you know how we do. Like you said it. We're rooting for you, buddy. We want you guys to win it, man.
And we're going to go after it. Our end goal. So that's what I keep telling them. We're not here to just play in the rec center. Hopefully we're here for a little bit of a stay. Taking away from the kids as adults, we know if it's not to be, they're already champions.
That's right. Amen, brother. Listen, good luck. We're rooting for you. All right, Council Rock, Newtown, Bucks County, Coach Brad Hamilton. Go get it, buddy.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Good talking to you.
Pleasure, really. What a pleasure. Great. I mean, what a great story.
Have a good one.
You too, brother. You too, man. God bless you. I love that story.
Thank you.
Now we got our plans Thursday night.
Yeah.
Back and forth to preseason and World Series.
I am. I cannot wait for it. All right, that's going to do it for us, JP. Great job in tracking down Coach Hamilton.
Anytime.
We appreciate that. Everybody, thanks for hanging Don't forget, big day at PHLY. All right, keep right here. Stay right here. We love you guys. We'll see you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.